Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Your host, Derek Champagne, is the founder and CEO of The Artist Evolution, a full-service agency building successful brands, marketing tools, and campaigns, and also the author of the best-selling book, Don't Buy a Duck. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where our goal is to inspire you to become the best leader that you can be. I always like to bring the best guests. This is no exception today. I have Yifat Cohen with us. She is the owner of YCN Media Group. She's an engagement booster, and she has an incredible story, and I love to bring incredible stories. So, Yifat, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Derek.
Hey, I could botch it if I share it the wrong way, but your story is incredible. I want to hear, and so you can brag, okay? Because I'm going to brag on you as well, but you are at the top at what you do. You and Gary Vee were in the same space. You have way more engagement. That's crazy. People that listen know who that is as well. Tell us your story and kind of give us, but before you even tell us you're professional, give us a little insight into your background as a person growing up and then what your life looks like.
Yeah, so I was born in Jerusalem, and I'm not going to tell you because I'm 21 years old, but with a ton of experience. I was born in Jerusalem, and then my parents founded a tiny village of like just 40 families. So, when they said, I heard what you did last night, they actually heard what you did last night.
Wow.
Very, very small. Then I went to the military. I served 2 years in the Air Force, Israeli Air Force. And like all Israelis, after the military, we go travel. So I went backpacking in South America for like 8 months. Knew no Spanish. Like I thought the entire world spoke English. What do you know? And then you leave Israel and you think, to be happy and to be successful, you have to be Jewish. And then you go to South America and you meet people who are amazing, right? And what do you know? Not Jewish. So I had a lot of myths broken during that time. And then I went back to Israel. I became a journalist, worked there for about a year or so, got a house, got a car, got all that stuff. And then went to Vipassana. Have you heard of Vipassana?
No, I have not.
It's really interesting. It's an international organization that believes that meditation should, financial barrier should not be what prevents you from learning how to meditate. So they provide training, 10-day of silent meditation, and they house you and feed you and take care of everything for free. And by the end of it, if you feel like you've got some value, you can either serve for the next person or pay, for the next person. So I went and I did 10 days in Israel of meditation. It's really interesting, Derek, because when there's no input, right, your own stuff starts coming out. So that happens on day 3. And I realized I was too young for my own stuff to come out. But by the end of it, my cousin, who's an American, sent me an email and said, if you ever want to come to the States, you can stay with me. And I said, perfect, I'll be there in 2 weeks. And she said,
That's great.
Wait a minute, I'm coming to Austin. I said, okay, great. I'll come to Austin. There's a Vipassana center. I'll go and be there until I figure out what I want to do. And that didn't happen. I came to Austin. I went to UT, graduated with honors in Spanish and business, and started working, met my now ex. 20 years later, I started a business. I have a child that I adore. And I'm still here because ex-husband, kids, life happen. Yeah.
So, there's so many layers I did not know about, which is awesome. That's one of the things I love about being able to do this kind of conversation. So, I can't let some of this stuff go. Your parents created a tiny village. So, yeah. I need to know just another sentence or two about that because that's fascinating. What was the motivator behind that, and is it still around today?
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. So after the 6-day war, right, Israel got more territories. And so the entire West Bank had to be, what do you say? How do you call that? Settled.
Right.
And so my parents and 2 more friends went to, settle one of the military bases. And the first newspaper that came out had a story about the only child. And it says, a good fence is a fence that keeps everybody out and Yifat in. Because I was very messy.
So the story was about you, the only child.
Yeah, the only child. I was like, it was me, and I think I was the first kid in the village, and then there was two other. So it was just my parents, and two of their friends. So 3 families.
That's fascinating. I know it's not what we're here to talk about today, but that is amazing. And that's a big time in history. It's huge.
Yeah.
Wow. So and then you go to the military, which is incredible as well. Any top lessons you learned in serving in the military?
You're gonna laugh, but I've learned that there's no. There's no such thing as no. You just if your commander says no, we can't do this, then you find another way to do it. Because we're Israeli, there's a sign no entrance. Like, why not? I see a path, so we go. Right, and so I learned that. And so when I came to UT, I wanted to do my last semester as an external student. And they said, you can't, because you can't do your last semester. It has to be a semester before your last. And I said, why not? And there was I don't know. I was like, well, who can say yes? Wow. And I kept going back. And then, I spent my last semester in Buenos Aires as an exchange student.
That's actually really good. I mean, a great lesson, and it applies to entrepreneurship. And I can think of I sent a kind of a graduation way to go, buddy email to one of our clients recently. Actually, it was earlier this week. Who got turned down by a zoning board and all these things. And it was really important to be able to get this approval. And, someone in the community didn't want him to have it. And he was able to go back to the drawing board and stayed up till 5 a.m. looking for a solution, figured out that he could cut his building 10 feet shorter to come up with a different solution. So we had been through 6 months of rezoning and figured things out. And it just was a reminder that there is a solution somewhere. It might not be the answer you hear. It might not be the amount of work or the path, but there usually is. And a lot of people stop right before they find if it's that important solution or before they discover electricity, right before.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So thanks for that lesson. That's great. And then so let's go on though, because let's talk now about more your professional career and more of you're an influencer. You have and you had a giant following. Talk about Google Plus, talk about that whole world. And I mean you've traveled the world as a teacher for Google and others. I mean, you're at the top of your game. So give me some of that story too.
Yeah, this is really interesting because that's now the basis of my entire philosophy of don't build your home on rented properties, just because of what happened to me with Google Plus. So I know a lot of people try social media. At the beginning, it was kind of like, remember Facebook came out just for college students as a hookup app.
Right.
But everybody started there, and it's been becoming very lonely and discouraging because the first people who follow you are your friends and family, and so it's a like from your mother. But usually you see something, you see your friends' comments and post and getting so much engagement, and you're kind of like, it's not enough. So that was my experience. I really sucked at social media. And then Google emailed me when they launched Google Plus. I was one of the first 100 people to get invited. And I found my tribe. And all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by geeks like me. And all we do is kind of figure out the system. What happens when I block you? What happens when I avoid you? What happens when I do this? And there were no gurus, right? It was just at the beginning. My voice, sorry.
You're good.
And so we're trying to figure stuff out. And we just I spent hours on it, just talking to people and interacting and engaging. And then Google came out with Hangouts, and I launched a show, and it was just like regular Hangouts. So we were it wasn't broadcasted. So we're trying to figure out ways to, broadcast it to our audience. And Google came out with Hangouts on Air only for beta. And my community actually said, hey, Google, give her access because we want to see her. And so I got access. I was one of the first one to get access.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really impressive because I was like, hey, you know what? There is some power in engagement.
Right.
And then I went and I interviewed amazing people like TJ Marchetti, who's the senior vice president of Walt Disney Marketing. And we talked about how they brought back the Muppets. And what was really cool, my shows are very unscripted, right? There's no okay, we're going to go through all that stuff. So there were parts when I was asking him questions. Remember there was the blackout when the internet went black to protest. I think it was it HIPAA or something? Do you remember that day when Wikipedia went black?
Yes. Yep.
So I asked him, I was like, how do you guys deal with that? And he's like, no comment. And I was like, yes. Right.
Awesome.
And so what happened is I started interviewing these amazing people, and I do it differently. Most people just have a conversation like you and I have. And that makes the audience a passive viewer or a passive listener, right? Or just like they can't contribute. And what I did, I let my viewers come in and talk to my guest face to face. So imagine asking TJ Marchetti whatever you want, or the former U.S. ambassador to the UN who came from Cambodia, the killing fields of Cambodia to the U.S.
Wow.
You can ask him anything you want, right? Or the youngest president of the NAACP. I had a journalist come on and goes like, sir, I disagree with what you said.
Wow.
It was a fantastic conversation, right? And so when Gary Vee and Guy Kawasaki went to promote their book, I had a show at the same exact time. And we lasted 3 times longer, and I had more engagement, like 4 times the views, the comments, the shares.
Wow.
And that was a big game changer, right? Because you realize people come to you because they want to be a part of the conversation. They can watch Gary and Guy talk about their books, later on when they run twice as fast. There's no reason to take time from your day and watch a live if you can't be part of it. And that's what I found that was really, really changing the dynamic of how you're building a community and a followers, and the difference between a community and a fan club. You know the difference?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so then Google noticed, and they're like, hey, can you fly to Israel and talk about Google+? I'm like, sure, it's my hometown. Can I bring my kid? and I was like, how do you explain something new to people who already know everything? Because Israelis like, oh, I know it. And so from there, it went to like Brazil and Mexico City and Google. And I was part of the beta testing team. And then Viggo Dotra, the guy who created Google+, decided to retire. The whole platform went down. So there you go. 7 years of content, followers, engagement, brand. That was the first result for my keywords. All gone because of the decision of a platform that I invested so much into. And that's what everybody's doing online today, right? Let me build my Facebook followers and my likes and let me build a Facebook group. I'm like, that's not your group.
Right.
You can be locked out, and which happened to so many of my coaches. You build a 10,000 people group, and now you're locked out of Facebook. What you can do, like your entire
that's your business. That's how you either drive your revenue, and a lot of businesses that are not in your space are doing that as well. Yeah. Where they're relying on all their traffic and they're building their brands, on these social platforms.
Yeah.
So, you basically overnight lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers and engagement.
And engagement, yeah.
Yeah, that was your tribe.
Yep, that was my tribe. And so now I'm actually building Facebook, quotation mark, on my own site. I'm starting my own community because I know how to run it, and now I want to own it. So if and this is like, if you think about Gary Vee, that's what he has, right? He owns his audience.
Right.
If YouTube wakes up today and says, Gary Vee, you can be on our platform, it's like, okay, fine. Everybody come with me to Instagram.
Right.
Right.
So I want to talk about your solution, because what you're doing is really exciting. You and I have talked about it. I'm excited to engage you for myself and some things, and for some clients that are doing some big thought leadership things. But before we do that, I like to talk about, I don't like to harp on it and stay on it and dwell on it, but I want to talk for a minute about that moment. Okay. the dark moment. Okay.
Yeah.
We won't stay there, but I've had a few in my life, and they were pivotal for me to find bigger solutions to problems that need to be solved. And so I'm thankful for them, but at the time they stunk. They were not fun. So take me for a minute. We won't dwell, but take me to that moment where you realize, it's gone. Give me that small moment. You were there, it's you, and then tell me how you decided, here's how I'm going to fix it.
So we kind of knew, we had about 6 months ahead of time knowing that it's going to happen. Okay. And we were trying to find solutions, right? So people are like, okay, let's try to move to this platform, and let's try to move to that platform. And then people were testing platform, and it just wasn't the same. We were in mourning, seriously mourning. And it was on 2 levels. On one level, the loss of, what we've lost, the relationship, the connection, the geekiness of it all.
Right.
So that was one level. And then the second level, the entire world had no idea why we were pissed off, right? And they're like, Google what? Right? Like, who cares? I thought that died 5 years ago. And we were like, no, dude, it was amazing.
So that was insulting too, right?
It was just like, so I always say I was like one show on one platform that most people don't care about built my entire brand, right? And then it's like, oh gosh. It was a moment of like seriously the death of something, right? Because like most people don't know, but what was amazing about Google Plus is that you would put, how you go to Google and you put keywords, right? You search for a question.
Right.
Google Plus spit out people. So all of a sudden you're surrounded, like if you care about, I don't know, horses, right? Or poker or underwater basket weaving.
Right.
You would find those 5 people that are just as passionate about this as you are. And now you belong. You have the same conversation. You don't need to explain what words mean. You say, ACE, and people are like, yeah, blah, 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 right? Like they get it. And we are in such a world, like I always say, in our overly connected world, we are starving for connection.
Right.
And Google Plus was that connection, because you would move from comments to chat to face-to-face hangout to real life. People were getting married, because they met on the platform. They started businesses together. We had a passport where you would meet people and we stamp it. And there were hangouts in real life. Like it was an entire culture, but it wasn't ours, right? It was not ours. So there's a website with Google Graveyard and all the products that, that they kill.
Wow. I gotta need to look at that.
And it's, so I predict that Google is not going to last. Alta Vista was before, MySpace was before, right? When you were the dominant force in the market, then you can do whatever you want. But Google is slowly killing its top advocates. And now you have Amazon. Now you have Microsoft is coming back. Alexa, I don't know if it's more popular than Google Home, but I'm guessing.
Right.
Right? So now Google has bigger competitors that really, really care about the user. Facebook is not. Facebook broke the trust, right? So I think Amazon and Microsoft are kind of like, LinkedIn is trying to come, but LinkedIn is Microsoft. So Google has big competitors when it comes to like trust, transparency, and trust is very, very big, and they're killing it. They're like just,
wow. I really appreciate your perspective and for being open and sharing that. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to talk to you though about what you're doing now. Okay. Cause you came out the other side. I love to celebrate those kind of stories. Again, I've had 4 businesses fail and man, they still hurt. One of them really stings. But I've had some do well too. So, my track record is winning finally on the number, right. But, so I get it. I get the pain. So now talk to me now though. The redemption is what you're doing now because you're doing some big things. You're one of the leaders in engagement. You're an engagement booster. So tell us about your product now, because you can kind of make a pitch for it. Okay. Tell me what you're doing. And I want our listeners to really understand.
So we have a system now that I've spent 7 years, right, kind of figuring out this engagement thing and what makes people really tick and react and be a part of what you're doing. In our system, it's called viral connectivity, and it gets you face-to-face with thought leaders in your industry. So like whoever you want to connect with, puts you face-to-face with them. And it leverages their audience, which is pretty cool. It boosts your brand, your authority, and your sales all at the same time with minimum time investment. So what we really do is, like, if you think about podcast, we put that on steroids. We do that in real life. Our keyword in real time, our keyword is leverage. So we're leveraging technology, we're leveraging audiences, we're leveraging authority, we're leveraging connections, and we're creating content as we go. So I'm sure you will agree with me, Derek, that lack of information is not the problem nowadays, right? Like,
sure.
We have YouTube, we have Siri, we have Alexa, we have Google Home, we have Quora, right?
Right.
And people are still stuck, right? Like, why? Why are people still stuck? Why are they still broke? Why are they still sick? If all the answers are out there. And I believe that what's missing is not information, it's you, right? Like a trusted advisor, because there's so much fake stuff out there.
Right.
And what people are looking for is a trusted advisor that can just be like, hey, can you look at this for 2 minutes and tell me, what's going on?
Right.
And it's so hard, right? Because when you are at the top of your game, you have so little time. How can you be scaling this engagement and personal relationship with such limited time? And so what we do is we basically create kind of like your own web TV show where we syndicate you everywhere and we give your audience access to you in real time. So you build that relationship and that trust in like a matter of minutes. And what happens is you build your audience, you build the trust, you build a community, and you boost your sales because all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy can help me. What else can he do?
Right.
And then we take that and we turn it all the content that you need. So you're always out there, but we really, really focus on engagement and conversions.
I like the product. I like that you say the word leverage. You talk about there being so much information. I'm not going to say there's too much information because I do believe we should have it all. But I see, we go in and do audits for marketing campaigns. It's one of the roles we do in our company. And I see that there's information overload, and I see these marketing teams trying to do everything because they think they're supposed to because they've read too many articles or too many books. So they've got blogs, they've got all these things they're doing, but they don't know how they all work together. They're not sure how to leverage it. They have these networks, including LinkedIn and others you've mentioned, and they're not even sure how to leverage it. So they're just busy managing, doing a bunch of stuff. So their time is strapped, and are they getting the most out of it? I don't know. And so you to come in and be able to help them with leveraging, but also in an authentic way of having that viral, real-time relationship, building a community. I really like that approach. I think it's really where things are going too. And also let me mention this because it's a pet peeve of mine. When I hear someone come to me and say the funnel, I'm just going to build a funnel that solves everything, and they say it and they don't know what that means or where it fits, that's frustrating to a marketer. And I believe, this is my prediction, is that we are going to see consumers in the next 24 months have a backlash against, because there's so much distrust happening because we keep looking for these magic elixirs and solutions. They're fed to us. I can't open anything in social media without getting pitched another funnel magic solution. And people are coming up dry and empty from it, and it's just not a magic pill that you can take to grow and have everything work for you exactly. There's a combination of things. And so I'd love your thoughts on that as well, actually. Yeah,
you know what? I think the internet has matured, and people didn't realize that it has, right? And so at the beginning, it's like webinars. Now everybody knows it's a sales pitch, right?
Right.
So you spend $30,000 on a webinar and an email sequence, and if they did this, then that, and this, but it's a sales pitch. You didn't give them anything in the webinar. And the worst part of this all, and I think this one really contributes to the loneliness that people are feeling and the suicide rates, is that if you've tried, the free version, the $29 version, the $57, the $97, the $297, at one point you say, I'm the problem, right? You say like, I've tried all these things and I am the failure because obviously this works for you because you're the guru and you're showing me your Lamborghinis and your jets and all that stuff and I don't know if they're rented, right? But I go like, I tried so many times and it's not going to work for me. I'm bad at it. And so what happens is, as a marketer, you go out and build those funnels, but people are so jaded. They're like, nothing is going to work for me. I've tried, right? I've read this book and I've tried these things. And when someone becomes a trusted advisor, you kind of like give people hope. You're like, oh, wow, I can do this too. This is fantastic. What else can I do?
Right.
And that's what really people are missing. And I think we are in a place where we're just, broadcasting. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. You should do this.
Right.
But nobody's like giving like specific, like, hey, go do this one little thing right now. And that's it. And come back and tell me how that works. And then we'll take the next step.
Yeah,
right?
That's
like,
yes.
There's nothing like that. And that's what my community is about. We're tackling topics 4 weeks at a time. Like you get in a pod of like 5-7 people and you go like, okay, this month I want to work and I want to create my book. And with 7 people in real time, face to face, you don't have to travel. That's what you're doing for the next 4 weeks. And then the next 4 weeks, you do something else. And then the next 4 weeks, you do something else. And by the end of 3 months, you go like, dude, look what I've accomplished. What happens at the end of the year, right? But we don't have this peer support. We don't have someone to lead the way. We don't have someone to say, hey, just open a Google Doc and type hello world.
Right. Oh, yes.
I think the people who will get off the podium and actually, start offering real value are going to win. Because, and I'll tell you my little secret, Gary V's audience is my audience. And I don't need to compete with Gary Vee. He doesn't have time to answer all his audience. So I don't even have to create content. All I need to do is go to his post and engage with everybody on the post there. That's it.
Wow.
They're asking questions. He doesn't have the time to answer. I answer it.
Wow.
Easy, right?
It's incredible. Yeah, that's so smart too. I wish we had time to go into that more, but that's awesome. So many layers. Yifat, thank you so much. I love your philosophy. I couldn't agree with you more. We both get to see this industry from different sides, and it's fun to look at and to see your perspective. It's much needed and appreciated. How can we learn more about you?
viralconnectivity.com is where you will learn more about our system and our offers. And if you ever want to join our shows and be part of the conversation and talk to world experts in real time, thatgeek.com is where we go live every other Thursday.
viralconnectivity.com. I'm thatgeek.com. Yifat Cohen, owner, YCN Media Group, Engagement Booster. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being our guest. I look forward to watching the next awesome things that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be.